dreams just random images fired from an unconscious brain during sleep? Or something much more important, like life-saving inner guidance? How dreams can be healing and early warning tools for disease, financial crisis, or success. And love is still one of the behavioral science's greatest unanswered questions. Hello, I'm your host, author Kat O'Keefe Kanavos. Welcome to Dreaming Healing, where dreams and cutting-edge scientific research meet on syndicated Dream Vision 7 radio network. Dreaming Healing is every Tuesday at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern, with live shows on the first and third evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, when you can call in and ask Kat questions about your amazing dreams. Talk on air. Call toll-free 833-220-1200. That's 833-220-1200. Come live your dreams out loud with Kat.
Good evening, everyone. I'm so glad you're here. This show is actually live video. So if you're only listening to us right now, but you'd like to watch, go to and Google The Queen of Dreams. The Queen of Dreams. And it will take you to my website, which is KathleenO'KeefeCanavos.com. And if you look in the right-hand corner, you'll see a button there. It says Dream Vision 7. Click it. It will take you to my website on dreamvision7radiotv.com. And if you scroll down, you'll see a little TV with an antennae. It says YouTube. Click on that button and you can watch us live right now. You can also go back to that website at any time to watch some of the other older shows. All the archives are right there on that page. So welcome to Mayhem to Miracles, the third book in the Sacred Stories series. Do miracles still happen, or are they just wishful thinking on our part? Maybe part of our imagination, we just thought that miracle happened. Tonight, we speak with Mayhem to Miracles, Sacred Stories of Transformational author, Diane Vich. And she is actually a returning author from our second book, Crappy to Happy. Remember that one? Crappy to Happy? That one is still doing really well on Amazon. And she's going to kick off this third award-winning book. So grab your tissues and join us as we cry and cringe and laugh our way to the real life story of an everyday miracle. But first, let's start our show with our favorite meditation. For those of you who are new to my show, we start all of these shows with this meditation. And what we're going to do is take 3 really deep breaths in. We're going to hold them. That breath of life is important. We're going to hold it. And any negativity is going to get caught up in that breath of life. We're going to blow it across the room into the purple flame of Saint Germain, where it's going to all get converted into beautiful energy and returned to the universe. Then we're going to imagine holding our power gift, anything that holds power to you. It can be a piece of jewelry given to you by a loved one. This is my mother's wedding ring. Or it can be your favorite flower. My spirit guides gave me a dandelion. Or it could be your favorite stone. It could be anything that holds power to you. We're going to swing it around our body, and we are going to create a mirrored bubble that's only going to allow that which is of our highest and best to come in, brought by our spirit guides, and everything else is going to be reflected back. Okay, ready? Okay, just kind of sit comfortably. Feel yourself sinking into your chair. And if you're driving in the car right now and listening to us, do not close your eyes. It will still work, okay? So feel yourself just settling into your chair. Feel your shoulders just relaxing, and take a deep breath in. Hold it. Imagine any negativity getting caught up in that breath of life. Something someone said to you, something you said to them this week. Blow it out across the room, right into that purple flame of Saint Germain. Again, deep breath in. Imagine anything that is from your life that bothers you, gives you nightmares, makes you think, and you get sad, caught up in that breath of life. Blow it out across the room. One more time, deep breath in. Any little stubborn negativities, something that happened in your childhood, Imagine it caught into that breath of life, blow it out across the room into the purple flame of Saint Germain, see it converted into beautiful golden light and return to the universe. Now, imagine holding your power gift in your hand. Swing it all around your body. Imagine swinging it. If you have room, do it for real. Swing it all around your body, creating that mirrored bubble. You're in the middle. Only that which is of the highest and best can come into that protective mirrored bubble brought by your spirit guides and your guardian angels. Everything else is returned back to whence it came. It's reflected right back, doesn't touch you. We wish it so, and therefore it is. When you're ready, slowly open your eyes. Until then, you can just listen to my voice. So our guest tonight is Diane Vich. She's a COVID RN nurse. Anxiety, pain, and symptoms used to control her life. Holistic remedies, hypnosis, nutrition, and fitness helped establish a balance in her body to enable healing and relief. She says you can thrive again. And you can find out more about our guest tonight, Diane Vich, at DianeVich.com. DianeVich.com. Again, during the commercial, if you would like to go to my Dreaming Healing website, again, go to my Facebook, my website, The Queen of Dreams. Go up into the upper right-hand corner, click on Dream Vision 7 radio button. It will take you to my website, and you can read more about Diane Vich, and her website is there. The link to her website is there, and it's hot. So you can just kind of click on it and go right to her website. So her story in this third book, Mayhem to Miracles, Sacred Stories of Transformational Hope, is about how COVID triggered a miracle. And she wrote a story during the COVID pandemic. And when she's writing this story, it actually triggers the miracle of memory and the strength to confront and share her repressed child abuse with her family. Her quote is, "As a nurse, I know that during high stress situations, it is normal for sex drive to diminish and physical health issues to arise." So welcome to the show, Diane Vich.
Thank you, Kathy. Always a pleasure. And I love the meditation. It was great.
Thank you. So my phone is acting up again. It's actually recording our show right now. And it does that when we get a lot of energy, when we get a lot of energy going in the show. And so I think that we must be changing the energy in the room. So Diane, you talk about how it was finally time for you to share your gut-wrenching child abuse story with your family. I cannot imagine anything that would be more stressful. And it began when you were writing your story about crappy to happy. And you reread the story. Something happened. Take us there, Diane. Tell us what happened and what you were feeling.
Okay. Well, basically, I tend to jump in before I'm ready. So we published the book Crappy to Happy, and it arrived at my house on the same day that my son's birthday was, or around the same time, because I think it released October 5th or October 6th of last year. And at that point, I had gone through this amnesia that I call it. When I do something in life or something stresses me out, I lose track of them. So I actually had forgotten what we had written in the story, but I knew it was almost time to tell my parents. I hadn't confronted that conflict yet, but something was about to rock my world, and I was not expecting it at all. So what ends up happening is on October 5th, my son's birthday, my cousin passes away. I had kind of lost contact with her and a lot of people during COVID. You get separated from people, and I felt very guilty that I had not connected with her, and now she was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And that same day that book arrived, but I was processing grief. I was healing from that, working with family. And then something told me one day, you need to go open the box. And I went and I opened the box and I read the story. I'm like, oh yes, that was what we, intended to do last year, but you haven't even confronted that. So October of last year was me confronting that and actually telling my parents what had happened, who it was, and how it had affected my health throughout my life. And that it all started with learning disabilities as a little kid, and then digestive issues that turned into autoimmune disease, to eventually getting to this point where I was already healing physically, but I needed to work on the root of the problem, was my abuse.
And what's really interesting, your son's birthday was October 5th, and the launch of Mayhem to Miracles was October 5th. So there's these synchronicities that are going on with your stories and what you went through in life. And you were talking about this stress-induced amnesia, that often happens, even with car accidents. When people are stressed, they have a really bad car accident. I remember when I was in one with my husband, and it's like when that happens, your mind shuts it off. It's like too frightening. You store it in the back of your mind to take it out at a later date to deal with it when not as much emotion is connected to it, and you can handle it on a more mature level. So let's talk about how you decided you were going to write your story in Mayhem to Miracles and Crappy to Happy to help children facing hardships so that they could emotionally comprehend what had happened to them. And for the children also, we talked about this, Diane, we talked about the children who were locked down during COVID with their abusers. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. So when Crappy to Happy was going, and I was going on this whole journey, and we already knew Mayhem to Miracles was gonna be released, I started doing art healing for myself as part of my journey, recognizing that I had to heal my inner child, a lot of singing, a lot of creative projects. And in that, I realized that there was big value in sharing it with kids, not only kids that have been abused, but also kids that have been ill or sick, like cancer children. And I started giving out these boxes, which I made specifically for kids, including books and art projects and planting activities and baking activities and different things that they could incorporate mindfulness into. And when I started doing that, it kind of took me away from my story and stopped me from getting stuck. As I started to focus on others, it helped me move forward and evolve and relieve some of that stress that was happening. And it actually led me to this point where I am right now. I haven't quite gotten to work with abused children yet, even though I have worked, reached out to different organizations, but I am working with an organization that works with cancer children. And for me, when I first started nursing, that was like my biggest fear. I was like, I want to be an oncology nurse. But then when I saw it, I was like, this is too painful for me. Like, I'm an empath. I'm gonna take on their stress, and I'm gonna feel guilty if they pass. But then, I got in that process. One of my best friends came into my life, and she was a cancer survivor ×3. And I realized, all of these things are happening to take you somewhere. Like, you're supposed to help these kids, and they're alone in the hospital with COVID and all these rules. They only have one parent that can visit them. So I actually reached out to a nonprofit called Sebastian Strong, and they want to actually take the boxes into the hospitals to help children. And eventually I would like to share it with, different children that have other issues, because I think mindfulness is a big part of healing, and art projects are so powerful to help us do that.
So, like, what do you have in the boxes?
I don't have any boxes here, but each box is different. So the box that I have a friend whose daughter had leukemia recently, and I gave her a box, and she's a preteen, which is what this nonprofit wants to work with, is teens. Mm-hmm. And hers had some teen mindfulness books. I'm working on one, but I haven't quite, printed that out. And it has different activities. So there's painting activities, and then I coach them and kind of advise them. And my goal is to make videos. I have made some videos. So one of the projects is making a rocket ship. So each box has a rocket ship. I have my own rocket ship, and this rocket ship is in my room. And there's an actual meditation that I created to imagine that you're putting in all your negative thoughts, everything crappy that happened during your day, anything mayhem that made you overwhelmed, right? And put it into this rocket ship and imagine you're sending it away to the moon. And when it comes back, it's bringing you back what you need for your day, for you to rest easily at night. So that's one of the activities that's in all the boxes, because I think the rocket ship is a really powerful one. But it depends on, we want to work on kids and what they like and enjoy, right? So we want to make the art projects more geared towards them. It has a planting activity, because I think planting seeds and watching something grow is a very powerful way of healing and restarting and feeling refreshed. It has a baking activity, but always everything that I eat is very mindful. So it would be, you know, a mindful healing kind of recipe. So I bought a gluten-free cookies is what was in the box. Ideally, I would want them to make their own from scratch, but I found the best option that I could actually stick in the box. But it's a bunch of these little activities that they can do, like the coloring books, you know, the mindfulness art projects, and just incorporating and encouraging them to use music when they're painting, to breathe in deeper, to focus on themselves and letting go of what doesn't serve them while they're doing this activity. So a lot of the art projects that I did for myself over this year took me several months to complete. It wasn't something I completed in one day. I was basically guided by intuition, used colors that I needed in that moment. And slowly but surely, I started to hang them on the wall. And before the book release, I actually hung up my welcome sign in my kitchen, which took me a long time to paint.
So you talk about how you just had to tell your story to support children facing hardships that they couldn't emotionally comprehend, especially when they emerged from this lockdown. So give us a little insight into your story, because I know that you actually had a type of closure in that your uncle just died and you buried him, right?
Yes. Well, we had a mass for him. He did just pass.
So tell us about how this all connected together.
Yeah. How it all connected together. Well, it was obviously a roller coaster journey, right? I had a lot of physical symptoms, a lot of stress over this year. Then we reached October 5th, which was the anniversary of my cousin's death. So a lot of emotions came up again there. And in the crappy to happy story, I was there to support him when he was sick. But this time around, I had to choose me. And when I say self-love paves the way, that was the only way I could do it. I couldn't be there this time. I had to take the space to heal and recognize that I was in a very vulnerable time. And that meant that I had to—
What were you healing from? What did you have to heal from?
From telling my story, from sharing my story, from getting judgments and criticism from family, from people pushing back, you know, for me doing these interviews or writing things on social, not recognizing that the story is my story and it has to be said from my perspective. And it's a very vulnerable story to share. So sometimes it may be difficult for someone going through this to talk about it. But it's been amazing in that it connects me with people with similar stories. So they just like come into my world. And it actually just happened yesterday. So I'm on vacation and I bumped into someone in the bathroom and we were just having a regular conversation, really connected. And I shared my story and she's like, wow, you're so powerful. I am a survivor too. And I was like, wow, that, you know, that's what it is. It's about sharing your vulnerability and recognizing that we're not the only ones out there, because when something like that happens to you, you feel like you're alone, that there's nobody out there that understands you. So that's why I think it's important to share it with kids. I haven't quite gotten there yet. I know I will at some point, but I think they need to know that they're not alone, that they're safe, that if they choose that they want to press charges or do something like that, that they have people behind them to do whatever it is that they feel is necessary. For me, it was difficult to say that I needed to share my story, but I knew in order for me to heal, that's what I needed to do. And I was guided by God this whole time and pushing through the judgments and the criticism to get to where I'm at and to be here today.
Mm-hmm. And your stories are powerful. They're very moving. And for those of you listening who have not read Crappy to Happy, or Mayhem to Miracles yet. Diane Vich's story deals with child abuse when she was young. And so, Diane, can you give us a little insight into what happened with that child abuse and who it happened with and why you think it happened and how it was able to happen for those people who are watching this show right now who may not have moved as far as you have out of that crisis?
Mm-hmm. Well, those things tend to happen, right, within close proximity. Like it's usually someone that is close enough that maybe not. The way I used to describe it is it was close enough where I would re-experience the emotions over and over again, but far enough where I had time to recover. What it was is my mom went back to work. Back when I was younger, I was the youngest. So I was 8 years younger than my sister and 7 years younger than my brother. And
so how old were you at this time?
It happened between 5 and 8. And it happened over several occasions where I was left with my grandmother. And I was just in that place. I can't explain why it happened. I don't know what the mentality was, but it was painful. It felt like I was trapped in that room. And to me, I always called it the red room, that I was stuck in this red room. And every obstacle that came into play into my life after that, or judgments or criticism by teachers or friends or family, what they did is would take me back to that room and I would re-experience all those emotions. So actually this summer, I went through a treatment called EMDR to help desensitize my emotional reaction to the stress, because it was actually causing physical stress. Like I know how to relax and how to let go, but there was still this continuous pattern where I kept getting stuck. And it was because I needed to face what really happened and understand that obviously that amnesia thing had happened and I had lost track of the exact details and I had been scared to face them. So I needed to be strong enough to go back and face what actually happened. Not ready to quite talk about what happened exactly yet, but I had to face it. I had to face it and recognize that, yes, it is something that happened to me. Yes, it affected my libido and my sexuality and my health. And it's all been a healing journey since then.
So we need to take a quick break right now. When we come back, we're going to pick right back up with Diane Vich about how she moved from that mayhem into her miracle and what her miracle was. So don't go away. We're going to be right back. You're listening to Dream Vision 7 Radio TV Network. And I'm your host, Kathleen O'Keefe Kanavos. My friends call me Kat. I hope you will too. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
What if dreams can diagnose your life? What if we can meet the love of our life in dreams? Join host Kat O'Keefe Kanavos, the #1 internationally best-selling author of Dreams That Can Save Your Life, written with Duke University medical doctor Larry Burke. Dreaming Healing is where we'll explore dreams, research, and interpret dreams from you, the caller. Dreaming Healing shows can be heard every Tuesday at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern, with live shows on the first and third evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific Time on syndicated Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. Come live your dreams out loud with Kat.
Omega Institute, offering workshops, retreats, and online learning dedicated to awakening the best in the human spirit. For over 40 years, Omega has seen more than 1 million people come through its doors to grow, learn, and find a greater sense of purpose. With over 350 workshops to choose from, Omega offers something for everyone. Located in Rhinebeck, New York, just 90 miles north of New York City, Omega's natural environment and quiet pace allow for extraordinary experiences to unfold. Learn more at eomega.org or call 877-944-2002. Again, 877-944-2002.
Have you met your physician within yet? The Nautilus and multi-award winning book, Surviving Cancerland, Intuitive Aspects of Healing, is a memoir that takes you down the rabbit hole of healing dreams and interpretations, mixed with conventional medicine and treatments. Listen to the hookah-puffing caterpillar ask, "Who are you?" Dr. Bernie Siegel says Kathleen's story is powerful, honest, and eye-opening. Surviving Cancerland, Intuitive Aspects of Healing by 3-time breast cancer survivor Kathleen O'Keefe Kanavos. Buy the book and audio at KathleenO'KeefeKanavos.com and worldwide through Amazon and other retailers.
Ever had a strange dream? Nautilus Award winner, Dreams That Can Save Your Life, Early Warning Signs of Cancer and Other Diseases by Kathleen O'Keefe Kanavos and Duke University radiologist Dr. Larry Burke, forward by Dr. Bernie Siegel, shares how people like you self-advocated in the face of adversity and won using dreams. Read life-saving dream stories validated by medical reports. Hear how dreams of dead loved ones saved lives. Use interpretations and journaling as roadmaps in your waking world for health, wealth, and love. Dreams That Can Save Your Life, Early Warning Signs of Cancer and Other Diseases. Buy the audio and book at KathleenO'KeefeKanavos.com in English and Italian worldwide and through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other retailers.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Welcome back to Dreaming Healing. I'm your host, Kat Kanavos, and you are listening to Dreaming Healing on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. If you're only listening and you'd like to watch, go to my website, The Queen of Dreams. Just Google it. It will take you to my website, Kathleen O'Keefe Kanavos. And in the upper right-hand corner, you will see a little button that says Dream Vision 7. Click that. It'll take you to my website on Dream Vision 7 Radio TV Network. And you will scroll down my website page. You'll see a little TV with an antennae on it. It says YouTube. Click that and you can watch us right now. Today, I'm talking to my guest, Diane Vich, and she is the author of a story in Mayhem to Miracles, Sacred Stories of Transformational Hope. And her story is about moving through child abuse into a place of healing. And this all happened during COVID. And one of the reasons why this story is so important is because there are many children who were locked down in the house during COVID with their abusers. And there could be many people listening to this show, watching this show tonight, who were exactly where Diane Vich was many, many years ago when they were 8, 9 years old, 7 years old, and wondering how to get out of that. So Diane, welcome back to the show. I'd like to do a little shift now. But before we do that, I just want to clarify for some people, because some questions are coming in. Are you comfortable telling them who the perpetrator was in your family?
Yes, it was an uncle. I apologize for that. Someone's ringing on the doorbell. No control over that. It was an uncle. And it was hard for me to like finally work up the courage to say that it was an uncle, that it was that close to my family.
Uh-huh. Okay, good. Just for those of you who are watching for the first time, this is a live show. And so you will see people's dogs, cats, and loved ones come into the camera view. It's okay. It's all part of our party here. So this was your uncle who was sexually abusing you as a very young child between 8 and 11. Is that right? Or 7 to 9, somewhere in there.
5 to 8.
5 to 8, so even younger. And that could have been going on. I'm sure it was going on now with the COVID lockdown. So Diane, tell us what some of the symptoms were when you were that 8-year-old. Take us back, if you can, to that 8-year-old. What were some of the symptoms that you were experiencing then that you carried with you into your adult life before you started writing about them and dealing with them?
Yes, I think that's very important to share because there's such a connection between our emotional health and our physical health. And it did start when I was a little girl. And as a pediatric nurse, I find how important that is and how important it is to share. So yeah, my journey started there. I had already had anxiety. I started to develop learning disabilities and delay. I almost failed kindergarten, which is when the abuse started.
Let me ask you quickly, Diane, do you think that you had these learning disabilities because you had trouble focusing because of all the chatter going on in your mind from what was happening?
Absolutely. I had experienced something that I just couldn't understand. I had tried to protect myself by blocking it out. It was not something that happened constantly, but it did happen several times. So I experienced a lot of physical and mental stress. So I ended up being in special classes and having learning issues with mathematics, and which is interesting because I'm actually a nurse and we use math, but and reading, which I love to read and write, but those were difficult times for me. And I also had physical symptoms. So I remember on one particular occasion, I always had urinary tract infections since I was a little girl, and they continued into my adult life, into about 9 years ago. And it started this one time I was home with grandma, parents were traveling. She was in my house, so we were safe, but I couldn't go to the bathroom. And they ended up having to take me to the hospital because I just couldn't go. And I was catheterized at that point. And I remember that was scary. Like I was scared of the hospital. I was scared of nurses. And I had a UTI, and that could have been a little trigger for nurses to ask more questions, which is now as a nursing professor, I tell them if there's anything that gives you any indication that there's some kind of a family dynamic that is a little off, then it's worth asking more questions and investigating further, because I never shared anything at all. If you fast forward to my 8th grade, I was stressed out in the middle of midterms, having severe abdominal pain. By this time, I had already had reflux for a long time and severe IBS. And I ended up in the hospital in the middle of midterms. And on that occasion, they actually did ask me many times if I had had sex, if I had been abused. And I kept saying no.
How old were you then? How old were you?
I was probably like 12 or 13 because it was before high school. So at this point, obviously it had ended. It wasn't happening anymore, but it was still affecting my body. And the amnesia was still there, but I knew something had happened to me. And my digestive issues were really bad. And I think that they noticed something because they had to do a pelvic exam at that age. I was pretty young for that. And they kept asking me, and it made me very, very uncomfortable. And I remember looking at my mom and my mom asking me, and my mom pulling me aside and asking me, and I kept saying no. I kept saying no.
Okay, so hold that thought, because I want to ask you a question. When this abuse was happening to you, were you told by the abuser not to tell anyone or something would happen to you?
Yes, I was.
And what did they tell you would happen to you if you told anyone?
I don't remember the details of what he told me specifically, but I know he threatened me in some way. And I remember that I also had health issues where I started losing weight. I went through a point where I was very skinny, and that threat I do remember. He would actually say that the garbage man was going to come get me, and because I wasn't eating, he was going to feed me garbage because I wasn't eating, and that was very scary to me. And I ended up becoming obese after that. I ended up getting a little chunky, and using food as a way to soothe myself.
Mm-hmm. So he did threaten you, and that was in the back of your mind when you were going in for all of these treatments for your physical ailments that were happening, your stomach, your everything, the urinary tract infections, and you still kept this to yourself. So continue from there. So just so that when our audience is listening, some of the parents may be tuning in to what you were going through, and they may be making some connections right now. So here you are, you're about 13, you're back into the hospital. You've got another really bad urinary tract infection. In fact, you can't even use the bathroom, and you're only 13, and people are asking you, have you ever had sexual relations? And you're still saying no.
I was still saying no. And the visits to the hospital kept coming. I kept having digestive issues and symptoms. And I really didn't become aware as to what happened to me until, the teen hormones started. And I started becoming more interested in intimacy. And I met my husband, who's been with me since I was 15 years old. And that when that exploration began to happen, and the energy and the chemistry and all that, was when these memories started to come back, because they hit some of the same spots in your brain and they remind you of things. And he's the only person that knew what happened to me since way long ago, because I was 15. So the only person I felt comfortable telling was him. And though he knew the story, I was not comfortable telling it with anybody else. I don't even think my best friends knew about it at all.
Mm-hmm. So how did your husband react when you had to go to family functions and he knows your history and the people are sitting at the table? How was he able to keep that together?
I know it's not easy for family. It wasn't easy for him, because I think for him, he knew what was coming, right? He's been through this journey, and the more I would get stressed and the more I would get anxious and the more symptoms I would have, he would be expecting it to happen. Mm-hmm. And that creates stress for him too. So especially towards the end, like when I had to start setting boundaries and saying I wasn't going to be around my uncle for this last year, mm-hmm. When the occasions happened that he was there, it was very difficult on both of us. And it's stressful on the relationship, because, mm-hmm. It's hard to know how to support someone through that, and what exactly do they need, to deal with the stress, and on the same side, it's a relationship. So you've got emotions going on both sides. And I think it was hard for him, and it was hard on everyone, but most of the people on the outside don't really see the stress that happens at home. They don't see me when I'm crying in my bed. He does. And my kids can feel that stress. And that's something that just happens behind closed doors.
Mm-hmm. So let's go back to with your story in Mayhem to Miracles, Sacred Stories of Transformational Hope. Let's go back to that story, and when you suddenly decided it was time to tell your parents. All this time your mom's asking you at the hospital, has anything happened? Has anything happened? You're saying no. Now you decide it's time to come clean. And when did you decide to come clean, and how did you decide to come clean and share all this that had happened with your uncle when you were a little girl?
Well, it kind of happened really quickly, right? So the book, Crappy to Happy, released. I knew it was on paper. I knew mom had a copy. I'm like, before she reads it, I need to tell her. We actually took an opportunity, because it was our anniversary. We got married in October. So we took a few days so that I could de-stress and do a lot of self-love in the Keys. And then I planned it. And as soon as we got back, I went and I told my parents, I need to talk to both of you. And I just had a conversation with both of them. And my mom got a stomach ache right in the middle of it, because she could feel, all that emotions, I'm sure, that were running through her head as to her faults and stress, right? Which I don't blame my parents at all. I think things just kind of happen that way. But my dad really started to put things together when I told him.
Yeah, he started to connect those dots, huh?
Yeah, he's like, that's when your learning disabilities started. And then that's when you started getting sick, and you always had all these food allergies, and you always had all these rashes and these stomach aches. And you had migraines and all. Like, he's just connected all the dots. And then I said, yeah, and it took me 8 years of healing my physical body, right? Working on my immune system and reducing stress and doing exercise to actually face the biggest root problem, which was the abuse.
Gosh, that is so much to take in. So here your parent, and How did that end? How did that session end? Were they angry at you? Did they not want to speak to you ever again? Or did they embrace you? What happened?
They weren't angry. They weren't angry at all. They had questions that I couldn't answer. They kept asking me as to why it happened. I'm like, that question is not for me. I can't give you the answer to what I don't know. I could just tell you what I knew. And back when I was talking to them, I still didn't know the whole story because I hadn't gone back into the room. It took me about 8 months later to actually face it and do that treatment. So I told them the best that I could from the information that I remembered from what happened to me.
Wow.
And
don't go away, everybody. We have to take another break. This show is just flying by. But when we come back, we're gonna delve into this a little bit more. You are watching Dreaming Healing on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. And I'm your host, Kat Kanavos. We'll be right back.
That every word you speak matters. What you say and how you say it can make or break a relationship or shift the outcome of any situation. Are your conversations making a difference? Faith in God, gratitude, authenticity, and giving are Teresa Velarde's heart. It's in this spirit that she's focused on making a difference in the lives she's blessed to touch. Conversations That Make a Difference is now on syndicated Dream Vision 7 Radio Network every Tuesday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern Time, with live call-in shows every first and third Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern.
Darkest hours to brightest moments, transformation from despair to happiness, and chaos to clarity. Real people, real pain, real healing. Life-threatening illness, death, abusive relationships, divorce, and overcoming addiction are challenges these men and women faced head-on. See how they emerged stronger and happier. Buy the new book, Chaos to Clarity, Sacred Stories of Transformational Change by Reverend Patricia Caginello and Kathleen O'Keefe Kanavos. Available on sacredstoriespublishing.com and worldwide through Amazon and other retailers.
Are miracles real? Can you move from mayhem to miracles? 30 prominent authors say yes as they share their high fives and down lows of challenges, abuse, addiction, and love. Experience hope, the magic elixir of miracles, through the personal stories of New York Times bestselling authors James Redfield, Dr. Bernie Siegel, Sister Jenna, Reverend Temple Hayes, and many more. If you like bestsellers, Chaos to Clarity, and Crappy to Happy, you'll love crying and laughing through Mayhem to Miracles. Sacred Stories of Transformational Hope. Available now on Amazon and in bookstores worldwide.
Why are we here? How can we be happy? Questions asked from millennials to boomers. Crappy to Happy, Sacred Stories of Transformational Joy answers them using true stories of grit, grace, and love. James Redfield, author of The Celestine Prophecy, wrote in the foreword, "This book is a seminar about emerging truths and offers grounded solutions through the art of the comeback." Dr. Bernie Siegel, a contributing author, wrote, "Bodies die, but spirits and consciousness survive and recycle." So, grab some tissues, open your book, and prepare to cry and laugh till it heals. Crappy to Happy by Reverend Ariel Patricia and Kathleen O'Keefe Kanavos. Available from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and booksellers worldwide.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Welcome back, everyone, to Dreaming Healing on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. I'm your host, Kat Kanavos, and today we are speaking with guest Diane Vich, nurse Diane Vich, who has been in two of our books, Crappy to Happy, which is where her story began. And she pretty much finished it here in Mayhem to Miracles, Sacred Stories of Transformational Hope. We're talking about what it's like to grow up with child abuse, how difficult it is, the physical ramifications that happen, the signs, the symbols that go on that parents might miss. So if you're seeing any of this in their children, definitely sit down and have a talk with them. And Diane, I want to ask you, while you were going through all this, when you were talking to your parents, when you were telling them about your uncle who just passed away very recently, I know we were in communication about that. How did your husband respond to this when you said, I'm going to tell him, I'm going to let him know what really happened? What did he do? Did he support you or say, no, that's in the past, let's leave it alone?
He supported me through it. But I think everyone in my family didn't understand why I needed to say my story. They thought it was better to keep it a secret. That everyone's experienced some kind of stress or trauma in their back life, and it's like, leave it back there. It's better back there. But for me, it wasn't working. I knew I needed to tell my story. And that was the only way that I was going to heal.
I think it's really important that our audience understand that even though you had this trauma go on in your childhood, you are happily married, you have a supportive husband, you have a wonderful life with him, a good sexual life as well. So Diane, I think that's really something important that I want our audience to hear from you. Is there the possibility of having a good life despite this happening to you as a child?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's why I'm here to tell my story. It's to prove that you can get through the physical stress and the emotional stress and heal your body. And if you had become disconnected as I did from my sexuality, you can reconnect with it and have great orgasms again and not feel ashamed of your body because of something that happened to you when you weren't really in control.
Or think that you're not worthy of a good man in a good relationship, because you are worthy, right?
Yeah, worth was a big one. Worth was actually the affirmation that we worked on in that treatment that I did, and something that I use every single day as I remind myself that I am worthy of being where I'm at and having everyone in my life and all the people that I meet. I'm worthy of that.
Yes, and that's really, really important. So tell us, what is your relationship with your family now, with your parents? Have they embraced you? Are they still not talking about it, even though they know it, which, that could happen, but you got it off your chest. You know that they know now. So what is your relationship with them now?
We don't talk about that subject, because that's a boundary that I had to set, that if we were going to talk about that, it had to be brought up by me. Because every time that it would come up because of a social post or a video or something, it created a lot of stress for me. So I had to create that boundary. But we have a good relationship. We talk about everything else. We get together and we do family things. But I know that particular week was hard for them. I couldn't be there for them when he passed. I couldn't call and see how they were doing. It was just too hard for me, because I was grieving. I did love him. He was my uncle, and I had a love for him, but I also had a lot of pain mixed in there. So it wasn't an easy week for me. So in that particular instant, I kind of felt guilty that I couldn't be there to support them, that I couldn't call them, like, what a bad daughter that you can't call your dad, or you can't call your mom or your sister. But I had to have that space for me. I couldn't do it.
And I'm very proud of you for taking that space. If you had one bit of advice that you would give to any parents who are watching right now to help them get the information that they suspect, that intuition, what is it that they should look for, and what would you suggest they do to get their child to open up so that they can help them?
I would say number one is having honest conversations, not poking into that particular subject like right away, because that can be very stressful. So you want to have little conversations and make eye contact. I think eye contact is so important. It was something hard for me to realize that I needed. And it's a very good tool. So it's like getting close to them, having an honest conversation. Have you been stressed out about something? Did something happen in school today that upset you? How did that make you feel? We need to talk more about feelings, and if it's having any physical impact on their body. Do they have a headache? Do they have a stomach ache? And just asking more questions to realize, where is it coming from? Because every physical symptom has an emotional component. That's what I figured out. Every single knot that we have, every pain, every digestive upset, there's something else connected to it. And back before I knew it, I thought, oh, I'm allergic to this, I'm allergic to that. But it had nothing to do with that. It was an emotional component in there. But I'd say eye-to-eye contact, doing maybe a mindfulness activity like painting with them, and then having a conversation, that difficult conversation with something that helps them relax in the moment, because that's a difficult conversation to have. But definitely a lot of eye contact, and a lot of more questions and deep conversation about feelings.
So I think that from what I gather from what you said, it's things that are chronic. They're happening over and over again. Physical illnesses that are chronic is a red flag going up. And as a parent, you might need to delve into the psyche of the child, because when the spirit is injured, the body cries out. And I think as a parent, this is something that is happening all the time. So I think it's really important that as parents, we make sure it doesn't happen to our children. Another thing that I wanted to ask you was, what would you say to adults now, like you, who were abused as children, who have not quite reached where you are? What would you say to them? You've got about 2 minutes.
Okay. I'd say number one, self-love paves the way. And the best way to do self-love for yourself is to actually look at yourself in the mirror when we're doing our daily self-care. Make eye contact with yourself and recite something powerful, whether it's a prayer or an affirmation, but really honor yourself in those maybe 2 to 5 minutes. Not let your mind get distracted. Focus on that. And little by little, day by day, you get through things and you realize where you need to go. But self-love is a very powerful way. And the affirmation that came to me last week is, Jesus brought me joy, and that makes me unstoppable. So you can try that, looking into your eyes as you get ready for your day.
Wow. I love that, Diane. Tell us one more time how we can find you.
Yes. So you can find me obviously at my website, dianevich.com. It's DianeVich.com. I also have a link tree where I put all my free events, because I do free meditations on insight timer and stress relief strategies. And the links can be reached on my link tree, which is linktr.ee/DianeVich, DianeVich.
Great. Thank you so much. And for those of you watching and listening tonight, if you'd like to read Diane's story in depth, it is in Mayhem to Miracles, Sacred Stories of Transformational Hope. Never give up that hope. If you've been abused as a child and you're an adult now, believe that you can move through this. And if you're seeing some of the symptoms that Diane Vich shared with us with your children, it might be time to have a conversation. And if you really want to know how Diane Vich's story started with this child abuse, which is really very prevalent in our society today, go to Crappy to Happy and read it from the very beginning. Her story in Crappy to Happy will give you the background of the second story in Mayhem to Miracles. And remember, you can go to Amazon and order Mayhem to Miracles. It was an Amazon bestseller in new releases for over a month. It has been doing extremely well. Is there something else you wanted to share with us, Diane?
I forgot to say, it all started with my digestion. And the first book that I published was The Truth About IBS and Anxiety. And there's a link between our emotional and our physical stress.
Absolutely. So yes, miracles are real. And this book, Mayhem to Miracles, Sacred Stories of Transformational Hope, proves it. Just with Diane's story, there's hope. It proves there's a miracle. The miracle in her story was embracing her health, coming out of that storm, facing her parents, sharing that story, and embracing her health with the help of her husband. My gosh, what a miracle that is. There's so many miracles, one after the other with that. Miracles go hand in hand with hope. She never gave up hope that she was going to get through this. So experience modern day miracles as 30 inspiring individuals move through the Mayhem 2 miracles in their physical challenges, abusive relationships, addictions, lost and found love, and much more in Mayhem 2 miracles. Thank you so much, Diane, for being with us tonight. Your story is so profound, and I know it is going to touch a lot of people.
Thank you, Kat. It was always a pleasure.
So until next time, remember, everybody dreams, but some dreams save lives. And I forgot to ask you, Diane, did you actually have any dreams and nightmares while you were going through this as a child?
I did, but I think I blocked them out really well because I was blocking my dreams up until recently. So now I get dreams that give me messages, but I think I was scared to see my dreams back then.
Amazing. So do you find now that your dreams actually guide you to be able to deal with this as an adult, a married woman with a really fabulous husband who we saw trot around behind you there to go to the door?
Yes, he was back there. He's awesome. Yeah, my dreams give me insights as to like what's coming up, what events I have coming up, and you know what do I need to do to prepare myself. And they're more inspiring, not as dark, because I actually faced my darkest fear.
Excellent. So remember, everybody dreams like Diane Vich, but some dreams save lives. Until next time, everybody, sweet dreams.
Thank you for joining us this evening, and a big thanks to our producer. Tune in next time to Dreaming Healing for more cutting-edge research, live dream interpretations, and stories with radio host and award-winning author Kat O'Keefe Kanavos. Listen every Tuesday at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern Time with call-in live shows on the first and third evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific Time on syndicated Dream Vision 7 radio network. Remember, everyone dreams, but some dreams save lives. Live your dreams. Find more about Kat at KathleenO'KeefeKanavos.com. That's Kathleen with a K. OKEEFEKANAVOS, or The Queen of Dreams on Google search.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.